Okay, so today I'm going to try to do a quick video, but basically I've gotten to a point in a project where I need to take two pieces of timber that have a hole, line them up, and then lock them in place. Under normal circumstances, what a person could do is clamp the exterior of this bit of timber and you'd be fine. Downside is that both pieces of wood are different in size and shape. You know, there's some pretty big discrepancies, and if I was to try to clamp them in place, everything would be out of alignment. So when it came to drilling the holes, it'd fail hard. So what I need is a clamp, a couple of them actually, where I'm able to put them inside this hole, which is basically the right size on both sheets of timber, tabletops, and lock them in place like that, since, well, that hole basically is the center for everything. Now, I have these Irwin Quick Grips. Don't know the specific model of this one as it doesn't have it, but it's more one of the cheaper ones. Some of the more larger and expensive ones you can sort of reverse, but this doesn't have an easy remove, and when you try to drag it back. So I'm thinking, well, okay, well, what happens if I was to take that off? And I'm thinking, well, okay, let's give that a go. Didn't want to come out for a moment. So I can take that off, and I'll be getting to this oil part in a little bit, but when we flick it over, it will in fact fit on that reverse, but we've got the issue of this, I'm not exactly what to call it, but maybe like a spring clip or something. So when I was looking at this before, I'm thinking, ooh, you know, this is probably not going to work. But I kept looking at it and thinking about it. So if I can shrink that and pull it out, will it actually fit? Yeah, that's not going to work. All right, so let's use some pliers. No. So first, tighten. There we go. So that came out pretty alright. And then I got to worry about, well, maybe it might not fit because the hole is actually in almost the correct spot, except there's a second one here for a stopper. So I slid it on, and I noticed at a certain point the hole seems to line up with the external part of the clip. So I'm thinking, alright. But before I go on with that, I've noticed that these bars can rust quite easily. And when I did go and purchase some of these, they already had signs of light rusting. So going by what I see on here, I'm guessing it's not grease, but just some sort of oil. So what I have here is sewing machine oil, which can also be used on practically, you know, any machinery for the most part. So what I'll do is I will fold that over first. Give it a bit of this. Now I did do this on the clamps I purchased, which turns out I only needed one of and not four. So I'm going to give this a quick oiling, and from reviews and other things I saw online, it's not, and when I did try it myself off camera, there wasn't any problems I came across with it. It just seemed to, well, help it stop the rust. It was moving easily. Once I clamped it into place, it wasn't slipping, so I'm not too worried about that stuff. So if I stick this back in, will it go back in, or did I just screw it up completely? I think I just screwed that up. That's not a good look for me right now. Oh boy. Okay, so taking a look at this, I'll probably put some oil in here on the spring and on that contact and in there. Now, from what I can tell, I've moved that spring up, which is not where it should be, so I'll put that down. I will not like seeing that pop out in that way. Put some oil on here. Keep that spring a bit lubed. So that's back in place correctly. Now, usually that bar should go in that direction. Should come through here. Line that plate up. And try to get it to go out through the other end. Okay, got it. Yep, so that's functioning. Whew, that was lucky. Alright, so I'm guessing with the other clamps I'm going to have to do the same thing by taking off this cover. Now, as you saw, all I had to do was just sort of get in here and pry it up carefully. Suggestion though, when it does come to lifting this off, be careful not to break these. Otherwise, you'll have a bad day. But as it says in the beginning of the video, I'm an idiot, and I literally just did that on the fly. So to say that I am somewhat surprised at myself is an understatement. And judging by how the plastic had been formed, my assumption is that in order to have this to operate correctly, you do need to have both sides on. So, yay. Yeah, it looks like you just drop some oils in here and give it a little swish around. Now, back to the actual video itself. Ooh, I screwed that up. Here we go. So if I slot that on like that, and then this end I have to put in the screw nut. Whoops. And then a screw on the other side. And then I tighten it. Nice. There we go. So what I was doing was I was feeling the screw come through and move the nut on the other side. So give that a bit of a tight. Probably best not to make it too tight, otherwise you might, yeah, bad day. Oh, and I know where that saying came from. That particular one's Jackie Chan Adventures. 90s cartoons. No, wait, that was like, was it early 2000s? Anyway. Now, that will do exactly what I want, because it'll lock in place, well, still hopefully lock in place, and keep the boards from shifting around, which is extremely useful. Now, what I could do is I could remove this pin, and it would give me this little extra bit of space, but it's not really necessary. Still, I would call this a hack. Reason being, I'm taking a piece of equipment and I'm modifying it to work in a way that it wasn't originally intended to. Now, is it made possible by its manufacturing? Well, yes. I mean, the only difference between how it's normally set up and how I've modified it is that you've got two holes on this side instead of on this side. I mean, that's it. Really nice quick thing that I figured out, and I thought I'd share it with the internet. Now, to be clear, doing this yourself, you'd probably void the warranty, and I don't like how that nut's sitting. Yeah, well. Oh, well, it moves with it, so whatever. Maybe undo it just a little. So that's how it's supposed to sit. Yeah. Alright, well, that'll hold it. So, yeah. To stop these from rusting, my discoveries online were to basically just, grease or oil it, because this seemed to have come with grease already on it, especially when I opened these brand new. I noticed that they were a little bit greasy. Sorry, a little bit oily. So I've probably oiled it too much, but I'm not going to say not enough, blah, blah, blah. It's fine like this. I mean, I'm going to have to clean this oil off the grip, because otherwise it's going to get slippery and cause a problem. Anywho, I'm going to call this video hacking a Irwin quick grip, because dictionary term basically states that's what I did. Anywho, yibbity yibbida.